Okay, Phil, I'm glad you were able to get up here today. You know, when we did the session showing you how to pick a shotgun and everything, it was miserable. It was what, maybe 38 degrees that day and windy and rainy. And this has been the worst hunting season I've had in 12 years. I've had all of the, as I call them, bad hunting days, such as wind that was maybe a 20-mile-an-hour wind. I could work in that. It would gust up to 70, and that just makes it harder and harder. In fact, almost impossible. So today I'm going to teach you a little bit, since you've never owned a gun dog or a hunting dog, right?
I've never had a dog ever. I never even grew up with a dog.
Okay.
So, what's a hunting dog and a gun dog?
Okay, now a hunting dog is one you might use for ducks, or a bird dog as sometimes you're called. You may use mainly for one thing or another, and so they don't necessarily adjust to everything. A gun dog learns to hunt for the gun, meaning the gun in my hand or the gun in our hands. And to me, that's the difference.
And what kind of dogs do you use?
I have done labs now for just about 50 years. My first dogs were spaniels. That was the popular breed. And my dad didn't know really anything about a hunting dog or a gun dog. And they'd run around the yard and then we go hunting. And yeah, we got birds. Sometimes the flushes were a little wild, unpredictable, okay? And then as I grew up, I learned that I had to learn to control my dog. Basically, the difference between just having a dog and you take him out in the field, you may get a good hunt, you may not. You know, you may end up with an excellent hunter, you may end up with a failure. If you just got a dog and you get in the field, your dog may range ahead of you from 50 feet to 300 feet, and you don't have much control. Now, control is important, okay? I want to keep the dog within a decent range. Now, explaining that decent range, when the pheasant flushes, he starts out at maybe 10 miles an hour. And 8 or 10 wing beats, he can be up to 25. Okay. So you want to be able to control your dog as to not just the length that he's out in front of you, but work left, work right, work that cover, ignore this cover. And this is more important. I've had dogs in my past that they wanted to work every bit of cover. And so we spend a lot of time in the field working unproductive cover. We talk a lot about what you want in a dog. First of all, you want the dog to be social. Is he a good family dog? He's got to be social. You got to love everyone in the family. It's very important that he knows who the boss is, okay? Because I want to control him for how far he is away from me, how steady he is on the bird, left, right, and all of these things, and I'll show you how basically we try to get that done. Now, I've been doing labs for about 50 years, and now I'm doing a pointer, and I've learned, okay, in the old days, hold. If the dog would be out working and I know he was on a bird, well, I'd yell hold. Well, actually, that was okay, but it wasn't what it should have been. And we'll talk about tools too. So I've learned now that the basic things that they teach pointers are fine. Heel, right, here, whoa. Okay, those are the 3 basic commands. Mm-hmm. Okay, and it works just as good for a lab as it does a pointer. Okay, but it makes more sense because can you think about this? Hold, whoa.
They sound really similar.
Yes.
And it could get them confused.
Right. So you'll want to learn control of your dog. Now, one of the tools that you start with is what we call the training cord. And this is extremely important. Now you'll notice I've got about a 10-foot cord. I see a lot of guys out there with a 20-foot cord. Well, I don't like that. I start my dogs on a 10-foot cord, okay? The 20-foot cord, and one of the things you can do is as you're getting in the training, you just let the cord go, okay? Now the dog is on a bird. Now somebody grabs the cord and they work in. Whoa, whoa. Okay, until you're ready to flush a bird. Now, can you visualize the difference between a 10-foot and a 20-foot cord?
Yeah, you're a lot farther away, and you're pulling. It's probably a tug of war between you and the dog.
Right, and the thing is, it depends on the cover. Like I did a lot of stuff up in the sagebrush. A 20-foot cord could get tangled up in sagebrush and jerk the dog up, and he wasn't ready for that, and neither were you. So the 10-foot cord, in my opinion, works better. Okay? Now, the next thing that you want is what we call the e-collar. Now, these are shockers. You can adjust the amount of shock that the dog gets right up here.
Okay.
And of course, you want to set it down where it's low enough. Okay, it doesn't do this to the dog. However, I have seen times when I've had to kick it up where, they don't.
Yeah, they weren't listening, and you got to kick it up a little bit.
Right. Now, we call this the hearing aid. It's a wonderful tool. It's also a tool that can be misused. Okay. So you have to experiment with how you set it. Okay. So the two basic tools I use are the check cord and the e-collar. Now, this last hunting season, I've only had the e-collar on either dog once for one hunt. Okay. Now, that's not that I'm the best trainer in the world, but my dogs are with me all the time. We socialize. They know what I want, what I don't want.
Right.
And that's the important thing. The dog has to understand what you want and what you don't want. And how do you pick a dog? Let's say that, this guy's got a litter. What are the things you look for?
I have no idea what you would have to look for.
Okay.
What would it be?
I've always said that my dogs pick me, which has been very much true. When I went out, I drove clear up to Alturas to get my fur. Well, I'd been out of the field for 18 years. And they brought the bitch out first with no puppies. And then they brought her out with the puppies. Well, I picked up this one dog, and he went nuts. Yip, 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 and licking me, okay? I picked up 3 or 4 of the others. It was like, who are you? So he picked me, okay? My first pointer was a little different. Jim brought over 5 of the pups. Well, 2 of them came to me no problem. So I had to make a choice. And it worked out good. And yes, my dogs live in the house with me. And if that's possible, that's good. Now, it's true, you may have a kennel outside, but let the dog be in the house and socialize with you for a couple hours a day. Okay.
Right.
And so he gets to know you, gets to know the family. Any other questions?
I noticed that you have a yellow lab. There's chocolate labs, black labs. Are there difference in as hunting dogs?
Okay.
Being different types of labs?
My first labs were all black labs. Okay. And then it was really funny. I saw my first Lucky in the litter up in, I think it was Wairika. But the trouble was, at that time, I was on the road 5 days a week, okay? and I didn't really have a kennel set up. 2 months later, this guy shows up with the same dog. He couldn't handle him, so I got him. And that was not a good situation because I was only home 2 days a week.
Right. You couldn't build the bonding time.
Right. However, he worked out really well, particularly when I finally quit that job. And then I had more time at home with him. But that's the thing. The dog has to spend time with you. Okay. There's nothing worse, and I've seen it. A guy goes down and spends top dollar for a dog. Top dollar to have him trained, and then the dog, the only time the man sees the dog or the dog sees the man is when he's fed and watered, and maybe 5 minutes of playtime in the backyard. To me, that's not good, but then that's my opinion, okay, and other people may not have the same opinion. But well, you've seen a little bit of the footage on my dogs working, right?
Right.
Okay, so now in a few minutes we're going to show you how to use these tools. And then a little later, if we have time, I'll show you another tool. And we call it the shooting dummy.
Okay.
And now there's a lot of things. Okay, you've got to teach your dog here. You've got to come to you every time. Whoa, stay, heel. Those are important. Now, the other thing is, do you like to yell?
Not really.
Okay.
But do you need to be a yeller?
This is where the whistle comes in.
Okay.
Okay? And so when you first get the puppy and you got him in the yard, take your whistle. The trill means come to me, okay? That means go, okay? Right. The two tweets is to get his attention. He looks at you and you let him know what direction. And okay, a little handshake like this is not the best. You let him see your full arm.
Okay. And so when you're saying left, are you using your left arm pointing to the left, right arm, or do you?
Not necessarily. Now, some trainers tell you, yeah, that's what you want. Well, that's fine if you're not carrying a gun.
That's true. Your left hand's probably the one holding the gun.
Yeah.
Okay, makes sense.
And so my dogs are taught, the right hand.
Okay. Is there a difference between a chocolate, a black, and a yellow lab?
Well, no, I've never owned a chocolate. Okay, I've had blacks and I've had yellows. My last 6 labs have all been yellow. But it's been the luck of the draw because I've gone and that's what they had in the litter. I don't think there's a nickel's worth of difference. A lab is a lab is a lab. Well, yes and no. I have seen labs that have absolutely no nose. Unfortunately, right now, I've got a lab that can smell or wind, however you want to put it, the bird from 100 feet away, okay? And I think they're born with the nose. They don't develop it. And then things you have to look out for. I had this problem with Ace at first. He wasn't using his nose. He was watching. And he'd say, oh, that cover, or he see a bird running, okay? And that's not what you want. You want him to use the nose.
Gotcha.
Used to be an expression, I had another guy, the nose knows. And, it's cute, but it's really true. But if you got a dog hunting with his eyes only, you're going to run over birds.
Right.
Okay. And I think labs are a good starter dog for almost anyone. But the training for a lab and a pointer is a little bit different. Although I'm starting to use more of the pointer training with my labs than I ever did before. And here again, the commands are simple. Here, heel, whoa. Okay. I have known trainers and dog handlers that the two tweets and that dog locks up until he's given a different direction. I've never quite got my dogs there.
It just takes a lot more training and a lot more time.
Exactly. Here again, these dogs are worked by me. I don't know. I assume that they'll work for you. I assume.
Hey Dan, I was wondering, what does it mean where a dog hunts for the gun?
Okay, here again, I've got a dog, I've got a pup, and he's just out hunting. All he's trying to do is find a bird. He's not concerned with where you are. Okay, now a good gun dog means he hunts for the gun. I've got the gun in my hand. So instead of just out here wandering, oh, there you are. Okay, so I stay in closer. So you got a shot. That's what I say, hunts for the gun.
Okay, so the dog doesn't go way too far. He'll keep that distance where it's good for the shotgun.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and I have seen so many bad hunts because the dog was not controllable.
Right.
He wasn't hunting for the gun, he was hunting for himself.
Yeah.
We're doing a shoot down south, way down south, and everybody had an 8-acre field. And we had just finished the swing. So we were back at the truck, and we were watching this guy's dog. He was just charging all over the field. And I'm going to say that most of his flushes were 35 yards out.
Wow.
Now, that means by the time the guy's got his gun up, the bird is at least 45, 50 yards out. That's another thing. A lot of guys quit shooting at the pheasants at 30 yards. With the proper choke and the proper ammunition, I've been known to drop pheasants at 50 yards. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And pretty consistently, but a lot of shooters can't do that.
But ideally, you want to be as close as possible to your dog when he flushes the bird out.
I let my lab work out 50 feet, and hopefully I get within 20 feet.
Yeah.
Now, Ace is much better at holding on chuckers than he is on pheasants. Well, he kind of grew up because we were doing a lot of field trials at that time, and chuckers were the field trial dog. So he got into the habit of, okay, I'll let Dad get a little closer on the chuckers. Pheasants, he gets a little more excited. Okay.
Yeah, because it's kind of a newer bird. He hasn't been around it so much. So
right. Okay, any other questions?
I've heard that there's two different styles of hunting dogs. There's the flushers and then the pointers. What types of dogs are those?
Okay.
What breeds would be flushing and what breeds would
basically your
point?
Your flushing dogs are your labs, okay, because that's what their instinct is. However, a flushing dog can be taught to, I got a bird here, and turn around and wait to see where you're at, because he's supposed to make the bird fly, and that's good. Your pointer locks up on the scent, and hopefully, and it's the way you like it, say the bird moves out. He still locks on point. You get up there, you can't find the bird. And you tell him to move up and he'll relocate the bird.
Okay.
And, I talk about labs and wire hairs because just what I had spaniels as a kid growing up. I have seen Brittany's that were real good pointers. I have seen Brittany's that were flush dogs, okay? Now, you can teach your pointer to point them, and then when you get up and you give him the okay, he'll flush it. I don't like that. I like to be able to kick the bird out. Actually, the dogs I'm used to, the Brittany's, I haven't never owned one. The labs and the wire hair. And the wire hair is my favorite pointer.
Are there a lot of different type of pointer dogs? Or is it?
Yes, you got the German short hair, which is the most popular. There's more of them around. The Llewellyn, which is an English dog, the English pointer, which I've only seen 2 in my life. There's probably a dozen pointing breeds. Irish setters were actually originally trained as pointers. I don't like the Irish setter because, you know, they got the long hair. And you come home and you got to take burrs out of their hair. The short hair, of course, short hair. That's why they call it the German short hair. The wire hair, same thing.